Much for joining us here on this sunny and beautiful Friday in the Mile High City and throughout eastern Colorado. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. So for today, it looks warm and dry. Tomorrow, hot and dry. Sunday, hot and dry. Monday, hot and dry. Tuesday, hot and dry. Wednesday, hot and dry. But I say that sarcastically because late next week, we could actually be talking about perhaps some needed and beneficial moisture. I'll have more detail on that in just a second. Well, this is not for cause. It's actually outside of our studios here at 9 News, where things looking pretty nice here on this Friday. And there's kind of that green up starting for us here in the city, despite the fact that we've had basically no rain since the start of April. We did have that one brief period of rain at the beginning of last week. Otherwise, it has been bone dry since the last week of the month of March. That said, still talking about some gusty winds today, especially in southeastern Colorado, high fire danger, and still relatively cool for your day today, at least compared to where we were back on your Wednesday. Red flag warning in place until 8 o'clock tonight for much of the state, but I will say this, despite the fact that we do have a red flag warning, and again, same things apply, no outdoor burning, and just be careful in general, of course, and of course have that go bag ready to go. Today's fire danger is much, much lower than it was yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about ridiculously dry conditions for us. In Colorado Springs, basically by all accounts, it was, by any measure, it was the driest May day we've ever had on record there in Colorado Springs. In Denver, one of our driest May days on record here as well. It was ridiculously dry yesterday. It was also very windy. Today, not nearly as bad. That said, we still are talking about some elevated fire danger. So again, point is here, folks, just be careful outside as usual. Nothing with a spark outdoors. And unfortunately, I think we're going to be stuck in this pattern. We're going to be talking about red flag warnings probably until the middle of next week, if not beyond that. And by the way, I was just talking about this with my colleague, meteorologist Danielle Grant. Today is day number 9 in a row with a red flag warning here in the state of Colorado, and day 34 of the last 39 with a red flag warning here in the state. So it's not just you. It's been exceptionally windy and exceptionally dry over the last 6-7 weeks or so. Winds, again, it's still a little gusty out there. Those winds will pick up a little bit later on today, but not nearly as bad as yesterday. We did see some gusts up by Berthoud Pass, up around 70 miles an hour. Some Denver and Colorado Springs both gusted at 55. Yesterday, we won't get anywhere near that today. And by the way, if you're flying in or out of the airport today, it won't be nearly as bumpy or as just nasty in general as it was yesterday. There was a lot of severe turbulence reports coming in and out of Denver International. So today, again, gusty at times, foothills as usual. It's a bit gusty up there, but more of, I would say today's more breezy, not windy. I'd say today's more breezy than windy. So better news on that front as well. I know we're all sick and tired of the wind. It is still breezy out there, but not, I would say, windy. So wind gust forecast again. This afternoon, we could see some gusts in the 25, maybe 30 mile an hour range. Foothills closer to about 40 miles an hour. But again, I would say for most of us, that would fall under the threshold of breezy rather than windy. But if today's a little annoying with the wind, tomorrow those winds back off even more with, I would say, a light breeze for your day tomorrow. Tomorrow looks absolutely beautiful, by the way, for us here along the Front Range and throughout most of the state. Light winds and warm temperatures. Will be running about 10 degrees above average for your day tomorrow. Today, about 5 degrees above the norm. Now, fortunately, of course, that is accompanied by this. About 91% of the state is under some form of drought, and about 57% of the state is under severe or worse drought conditions. And that number did unfortunately grow this week due to just a recent really dry stretch. And yeah, it's just been so dry for so long now that unfortunately that drought number is going to continue to expand until we get some meaningful help here from Mother Nature over the next few weeks. Temperatures right now, a lot of 60s, 70s on the eastern plains. Hey, I got to say this here, folks. I know a bit of a broken record talking about how hot and dry it's been for so long now. But you know what? I mean, today, at least we're talking about considerably lesser fire danger compared to yesterday. So get outside and enjoy. I mean, today is just going to be beautiful. You get past the fire danger, and it is just fantastic Southern California weather here, folks. I mean, it's just amazing weather, 60s and 70s for us. Even the mountains, 40s and 50s, and those temperatures should warm on up considerably so. later on today. And the dew points, this is the measure of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. You might remember yesterday we were talking about sub-zero dew points. That is just crazy dry. Today, this is a bit more normal, still drier than average, but somewhere within the ballpark of normal today. So when we're talking about dew points, again, teens and 20s, it's still dry, but we live in a dry place. So again, a bit closer to the average. You get into the St. Louis Valley, that's where it's a bit more troublesome. A 3-degree dew point, Alamosa, Saguache at 9 degrees. That's a bit more troublesome for us as you get into the St. Louis Valley and some parts of the mountains. But here in eastern Colorado, again, much lesser fire danger than today. That said, it's still elevated, high fire danger with winds 15 to 25 miles an hour. We do rise on up into the mid-70s, mostly sunny skies, so a warm, dry day. Our average high for today is 69, so we're going to be about 6 degrees above that, near 80 for us into the southeastern plains, 50s and 60s on up into the mountains. Now tonight, temperatures drop back into the upper 40s. It's a clear, comfortable evening if you're heading out and about. Probably sweatshirt weather, and that should do it for you. Sunset 8:05 p.m., 8 p.m. or later sunsets through August the 12th. We had our first 8 p.m. sunset back on Saturday, so there's something nice about that. And then lows tonight, basically statewide, we're above freezing. And unfortunately, by the way, it's a little bit of bad news here. When we're talking about these lows at night that stay above freezing in the mountains, that is unfortunately going to continue the rapid snow melt that we've seen up into the mountains. And I think a lot of places in southern Colorado are going to melt out before the end of the month. We had a near average season in terms of snowpack into the mountains, a little bit below average, but it wasn't too bad. Problem is, we've been just melting that snow so quickly over the last couple of weeks. And again, when we talk about these low temperatures above freezing, that's just not great news for that snowpack up that way. And this won't help either. Now, here in Denver, it's a beautiful day. High temperatures around 80 degrees for your day tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, but again, in the mountains, it's going to be pretty warm as well. And that does mean that we will be looking at the potential for some of that rapid snowmelt to continue. Now, we could see some increasing clouds during the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. That's because of a weak storm system that's going to mostly stay off to our north. Could see maybe 1 or 2 high country showers develop late tomorrow night and into your Sunday morning. Not a big deal. I wouldn't worry about it. It's not going to affect you at all, but it could lead to some increased cloud cover tomorrow afternoon. And then once we get beyond that, it's just hot and dry for basically the foreseeable future. You get into Tuesday and Wednesday, we do see some isolated storms move their way into the picture, so that's a bit of good news. I think the best chance for those will be well east of Denver, though. Lyman, Fort Morgan on east. That's where you're going to have the best chance at seeing a shower or a storm. And Thursday and Friday, now a little bit interesting about that, is we do have a storm system, computer models trying to bring us some beneficial moisture end of next weekend into next weekend. If that system stays off to our north, it's going to be hot and dry. It's going to stay hot and dry. But if it does stay far enough south, that could bring back our temperatures for next weekend. So I would say we do have some chances for some isolated storms on Tuesday and Wednesday. Finally, by the way, I mean, this is normally the time of year we get these storms. So the fact that we haven't had storms yet is extremely weird. I'm sure plenty of you know that, but we do get at least some isolated storms back in the picture Tuesday and Wednesday. I think by the end of next weekend does look interesting. I'll just say that. Hopefully, knock on wood. This is not wood. This, I would say, whatever this is that I'm knocking on here. Let's knock on that because we need the rain, we need the moisture, and I'm sure plenty of you know that. I know I sound like a broken record with the wind, with the hot, with the dry, but at least some indications that pattern breaks a little bit starting in the middle of next week and then hopefully for next weekend as well. So we'll keep you posted on all that. Meteorologist Danielle Graham will have another update coming up at 9 News at noon. Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 on the 9 News family of networks. In the meantime, I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Have a great Friday. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you right back here on 9 News Plus.